goes over the solution to the sample question number 1. This question is involving some real estate and a class called house. Another good example of just using another class you've never seen before. The class you've never seen before is called house. If you go ahead and look a little bit, what are some of the methods of the house class? We have get price, get num bedrooms, and get city. So in this method, we're basically going to return true if at least 2 of the criteria are true and false otherwise. So it might be a good idea to keep track of the number of criteria that are true. So I'm going to say int criteria is equal to 0. So far we have 0 criteria through. Sorry, 0 criteria that are true. One concern I might have is you might think you need a for loop here, but actually notice I'm giving you a parameter which is home, which is the only house you're considering. So it's not like we're looping through some array or something. You're just literally checking one home, one house. No need for a for loop at all. Okay, so let's check the first criteria. It has to have bedroom desired or more bedrooms. So I'll say if home dot, okay, home is one house. So what's the house method? It gets me the number of bedrooms. Well, it looks like it's called, here it is, get num bedrooms. So I'll say get num bedrooms is greater than or equal to, and then let's see, what's the thing I'm actually checking? It's something called bedrooms desired, which is a private instance variable of the class home finder that I'm in. So I'll say bedrooms desired. If that's true, then I've got one good criteria, so criteria plus plus. Okay, now I've got 2 other criteria to check. The home price has to be between min price and max price. So I'll say if home dot get price is greater than or equal to min price and home dot get price is greater than or equal to max price, then I have another criteria, criteria plus plus. And the third criteria is if home dot get city. Remember that returns a string, so I have to use dot equals. The city I'm looking for, which is called city desired. Then I have another criteria, so criteria plus plus. And now I've found all 3 criteria. Criteria could be 0, 1, 2, or 3. But if criteria is greater than or equal to 2, then I return true, and else return false. And of course I could do a little Boolean Zen and simplify this to just return criteria is greater than or equal to 2. Okay? One little note about this up here, remember you can't do a compound inequality, so I couldn't write min price is less than or equal to home price, home.get price is less than or equal to max price. You can't do a 3 is less than x is less than 5 compound inequality. You've got to do it in 2 parts with an and. Okay, should we tackle part B? Part B is quite a bit harder. And by the way, the mistake on part A I would be concerned you would make is that you would try to do some loop when you don't need to. I'm giving you just the one home. Okay, part B, we are returning, it's a method called get homes that should be considered. So let's say down here. The tricky part of this one is, and I wrote this here, you're returning an array, not an array list. So how long should that array be? Well, it should be the number of homes that should be considered. We have no idea how many that is. So I think the only way to do this one is actually involving 2 for loops. The first for loop you're going to loop through and just count up the number of homes that you should consider. And of course we have a method that does exactly that. We just wrote it in part A. Then declare some result temporary array that is that size. And then we need another for loop to loop through and fill it in. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to say int num homes. This is the number of homes that I should consider. Start off at 0. Now I've got a for loop, for int I equals 0, I is less than. Okay, where are all of our homes? Let's check out that. We have a private instance variable called houses. Oh, that seems like an important one. Okay, houses is an array list of house. Again, what is house? It's a class you've never seen before until this question. But if you say houses.getI, that gets you one house. Okay, so I'm going to write houses.size and I plus plus. Okay, now the question is, should we consider that home? Well, should be considered is a method of home finder. It's not a method of house. Should be considered takes one parameter that is a house. So I'm going to say if I want to use a method in the class I'm in, I'm just use it, should be considered. Does should be considered require a parameter? Yes, look, it takes a house. So I'm going to say houses.get I. That's the house I actually want to consider. And if that house should be considered, the whole purpose of this first for loop is to do some counting. So num homes plus plus. Now I know how many homes should be considered. So now this for loop ends. I know how many homes should be considered. And I'm going to I'm returning, though, an array of houses. So let's make one. House, bracket, bracket, result is equal to new house, bracket. How long should it be? Well, it should be num homes. Okay, the purpose of this for loop was to figure out what to go here, because otherwise I wouldn't have known how big it should be. All right? Now I want to basically go through and fill it in. That's going to take another for loop. For int I equals 0. Okay, now the question is, do I want to loop through all of the houses, or do I want to just loop through a result? Well, houses might be like several hundred long, and maybe only 7 of those houses you should consider. So again, houses.size could be 100, and num homes or result.length could maybe only be 7. I've got to go through all of the houses to find all the ones that I should consider. So I think I need to loop through houses.size again. And then this if is going to end up being the same. I'm going to say if this if is true, then I found one, and the problem is I need to add it now to the result. Well, where does it go in result? Let's say I'm on the 93rd house. That's the first one I should consider. It doesn't go in result bracket 93. What's interesting here is the positioning in result is different than the positioning in houses. So that suggests you might need a new variable called, I'm going to call it which house. Or actually, I'm just going to call it position. I think it's better. Pause for position starts at 0. That's where the position of where it should go in the result. So if I find one, I want to say result bracket position equals that house. Houses.get I. And if you look at this, it would be wrong to put I right here instead of position, because then you'd be copying to the exact same place. And we know that result is just way shorter. That's the wrong thing to do. And now that we found one, the next house I find should go in the pos one. So I'm going to say pos plus plus. So pos starts at 0. Eventually I find one. I put it in result bracket 0. And now pos is 1. I eventually find one later, put it in position 1, and then pos becomes 2. I eventually find another one. Pos is now 2, it goes to pos 3, and so on. And then the whole thing ends up being, we want to return the result. Okay. There's the complete solution to, oh, I see so big I can't even make it go on one screen. Here we go. There's the complete solution to part B, and I'll put this up on Schoology. Thanks a lot. Bye.